Hello and welcome to season 2 of Where Are They Now? Now 20 years ago, the town lifted the League One title, 98 points, and all these fans here at Kenilworth Road. To kickstart the new season, we spoke to Kevin Foley. Kevin Foley, good to see you, mate, here at Kenilworth Road where it all began for you. But we're here to talk about a very special season, 20 years ago, 2004-2005, that season in which you were part of that championship winning side that got us to the championship from League One. Yeah. But let's start kind of where it all kind of began. You were a Luton boy and you joined the club as a 9-year-old.
I did, yeah. I mean, just going back there 20 years and I think, wow, where's that time gone? I still feel like I'm playing out there now. Yeah. I've gone a bit greyer since then, but yeah, 20 years, joined the club as a 9-year-old, like you say. I just started taking up grassroots football. Got into it quite late. I suppose like nowadays you see kids 4, 5, 6 getting into it. We didn't really have that back then, that sort of structure. So got into it, 8, 9-year-old. And within the first few games of grassroots, I was picked up, me and my 2 mates, and they said come along and train. So we went and trained for 6 weeks, and fortunately I got kept on. Unfortunately my 2 mates didn't. And then yeah, I stayed there till I was like 22 years old. So really enjoyed it. Luton, absolutely loved it, loved everything about it, the way we came through, the challenges of being a young player, playing up and playing down, coming through the youth team, all the managers I had throughout that time, John Moore especially, put some great, instilled great principles into us young lads as players, and we're able to carry that on throughout our careers.
So you were impressing in the youth team as a teenager, and I think it was under Joe Kinnear that you and Mick Harford that you kind of broke into the first team squad. Yeah,
the Luton had a great history of giving young players a chance here, and I could see it with my own eyes. I mean, you had the likes of Matthew Taylor, Matthew Spring, Boise, all these young players that were coming through at that time still, and I'm still 5, 6 years younger than them. So we knew there was a pathway there, and Joe Kinnear did, rest his soul, he loved the signing, he loved the bringing players in, but he also gave us young players a chance, and especially back then when it was called the LDV Vans Trophy, a lot of us got our chances then. So yeah, we just had to grab it with both hands, and then when we got the opportunity to train with the first team, you really wanted to impress and you didn't want to make mistakes, but you still wanted to show that you could handle it. So it was a great environment. It was a tough environment. It's a little bit different to nowadays. You were really tested right from the start. I'm thinking of the characters in there: Kevin Nichols, Steve Howard, really testing you as a young lad, and see if you can sink or swim, really. But yeah, it was a great environment.
And I guess it's your ability on the training ground, and perhaps sometimes reacting to banter in the right way that gets you on board with the senior lads.
Absolutely, yeah. I think even using it as fuel. If they're hammering you, you've made a mistake, or how you're going to react to the next one. And it was a great test of character, and it wasn't always for the faint-hearted. But football is a tough industry, and you've got to be able to get through the bad times as well as the good times. And it was really testing, but I'm making it sound it was a real tough time, but it had its real bright sides to it as well.
You must have been loving it.
Absolutely loving it. I loved the challenge. I loved my, I think a great opportunity for me back then was playing in the reserves, because you play under 18s on a Saturday, and then in a midweek you might get the opportunity to play in the reserves, and you're playing against 30-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 27-year-olds on Kenilworth Road. There might be 200 people here, there might be 50 people here, but then you really get to test yourself, and that's where I started to play right back, and I actually really thrived on it. I didn't really play right back before that, so I thrived on it and I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I just went on from there.
And then making your debut, we were talking off camera about that Bristol City game.
Yeah, right up there actually on the halfway line. I think Rob Beckworth, who's another young goalie, I think he might have made his debut. and I've literally come on in about the 70th minute or something like that. I've gone right midfield, and I'm sure I've told this story before, but Bex takes the goal kick and he sort of shanks it out towards the touchline, and I can see the ball coming to me, and this is my big moment, you know, and I've gone to control it. It's gone under my studs, straight out for a throw in, and I'm sure everyone was thinking, here we go, one of our prospects, you know what I mean?
Who's this kid?
Yeah,
joking here, going crazy on the touchline.
Yeah, so, but you know, the lads were good. They were like, don't worry about that, get the next one. And then I got a few touches within the game, and the rest was history. But yeah, it was great memories, something I'll never forget.
It gave you a taste of what was to come as well?
Absolutely. Playing in front of the crowd was always special. I mean, it is now, you know, when I work here and I see the crowd, last season in the Premier League, this season, it's super. I mean, the atmosphere, I try and explain it to people, especially with the new stand. I remember the start of games, we'd be that end and we'd kick off, and I'd be like, I'm out there on my own, there's no one. But then you get to the second half and you're chasing the game, you're trying to score, and you're running down the wing here, and you can just feel the buzz.
Just like sweeping you along up that touchline.
Yes, absolutely. Like combining with the likes of Carlos Edwards and Berkovic and so many good players down the years, and trying to get balls in the box. And there's no better feeling to winning at Kenilworth Road, scoring or assisting it. I didn't score many, but assisting at Kenilworth Road.
That summer then, so that the summer you made your debut, there was a bit of a change off the pitch. Obviously Joe and Mick kind of left in some controversial circumstances. And then Mike Newell comes in, there's a transfer embargo. Tell us, I mean, how did that kind of affect you as a young boy? I think obviously of course the embargo meant that you and some of the younger lads could get that opportunity to play in, you know, League One football. Yeah, absolutely. I think it benefited me massively. You know, I think obviously Mick and Joe seemed to like me as a player, so I was getting a little bit of a sniff in. But then when the embargo came in, Mike Newell had a clean slate, and he could look at it and just judge the squad for what it was. We started playing friendlies. I started training more with the first team, and before you know it, I'm playing, you know, some friendly games, and I'm starting at right back. So yeah, quickly, I suppose, won him over, you know, because come the first game of the season, we had Rushden and Diamonds here, and I still remember now, like standing in the tunnel at 5-3, thinking, oh, it's a boiling hot day.
It was boiling, and I just remember thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then we start walking out, and I said, well, I better be ready. And then we come out and we won 2-1 or 3-1. I can't remember. But it was a great day, and it was a great feeling, you know. And I always thought when I played football, I always wanted to get my first touch or my first pass. As long as I got that nicely or got it away well, then I always felt I'd have a good game.
What was it like with Mike? Certainly in those early days as well, because as you say, like he was looking at players. Did you feel as though you were ready and you were like, oh, actually, I've got a chance of playing? Being a regular in the team.
I think, like I say, I think playing reserve team football gave me the confidence, because I'm playing against men, and I'm dealing with it, and I'm sort of dealing with the physical side of things, you know, because I wasn't the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but I felt like that helped me a lot. So yeah, Mike gave me the confidence to go out and play, and he was a very calm manager. You know, a lot different to Joe Kinnear, who was a bit of a ranter and a raver and a shouter, but that's the way he got his teams playing football. Mike was a bit more calm, and you know, he put his trust in a lot of the youngsters in his time.
And it had the desired effect, I think, mid-table that season. But I think you scored your first senior goal. Was it against Yeovil in the League Cup?
Oh yeah, Yeovil. I picked the ball up. I think I made an inside run from the halfway line. I think I might have picked it up off
It was
Paul.
this end, wasn't it?
Yeah, Paul Hughes. I went on a little bit of a dribble, started getting a nosebleed, played a 1-2 with Steve Howard, I think, and I just sort of slotted it in the corner. I just sort of passed it, didn't know what to do, and I was like, I think I jumped on Steve Howard. And yeah, it was a great feeling. I mean, you know, I'd love to be a striker, because the buzz you get when you score, it's unbelievable. Obviously, I didn't get that many times in my career, but what a great feeling it was, and I think we won 4-1.
as a Luton boy as well. I mean, born in the town, and we always talk about. You touched on it earlier about obviously the academy reputation that we have here, but the fans also love. I mean, any fan across the country will tell you that like one of their own is.
Absolutely, yeah, and I've heard it throughout last season and this season with the likes of Joe Johnson and Zach Nelson, and everybody loves a young lad coming through the system, because it shows the great work that goes in behind the scenes that the academy do, nurturing these young lads, getting them through and getting them into the first team. And it's not easy, it just seems like it gets harder and harder every year, especially, as Luton sort of climb the table and climb the leagues, that gap to the first team gets even bigger and bigger, but we got to still strive to produce these types of players.
So that was 03-04, and I think you played plenty, I think 35, 40 games that season in League One. And then the following season we go and win the league. Yeah,
I mean, I think we took everyone by surprise. We probably took ourselves by surprise because, like you say, we had a good, solid season under a lot of uncertainty. Then, the start of that season, we just sort of hit the ground running. I remember we had a lot of pre-season games. We'd done really well in them. And you start thinking, we could have a chance here.
Was that discussion amongst the lads?
I don't remember there being that discussion, but I do remember as a young player because I didn't really experience anything else, so I just knew Luton and Luton's players. But when I think back now, I just think what a great squad we had, great team like Kevin Nichols through the spine of the team, Chris Coyne really dominant, Steve Howard up top, Viney on the wings, Paul Underwood, Berkovic, Steve Robinson, Sol Davis at left back, Marlon in goal. I'm probably missing loads out here, but we had a really solid team. And what I'd say about that team is like it sort of ran itself. There were sort of managers within the team like Nico, Howie, Coyne next to me, always shouting at me to get round him and cover him. But they were great for me as a player, because I learnt a lot on the pitch. Obviously you learn things at the training ground, but on the pitch, playing with them guys, seeing what they wanted, seeing what was right and what was wrong. It was a great environment to grow up in, and we won the first 6 games, and it was just like wow. And then I think we drew on against Sheffield Wednesday, and then we won another handful more, and you're thinking we're on cloud 9 here, and then bang, we lost 3, didn't we? We lost 3 on the spin, and everyone's going, the wheels have come off. And
what was that like to deal with then? So obviously, so let's start with the fact that winning first 6 and I think unbeaten in the first 12 or 13.
That's right, yeah. 12.
Are you thinking, you must have, obviously so much confidence by then, but especially as a young player, not necessarily used to such a great start to the season, are you?
No, if I think there, I'm thinking my career's just gone like that and like that, really quickly, and you think, well, I can't get much better than this. You're just in the flow because you feel confident, the team's confident, everyone's playing nice football, we're playing attacking football. Galloping up the wing, putting balls in the box. If it wasn't on Howie's head, he's hammering me because he wanted it pinpoint on his head. And then obviously we lost, didn't we? So, and back then, we didn't have match reviews, we didn't sit down and watch videos and all that. But I remember Mike Newell just got us in the room up the top. I think it's the boardroom now, and he just got a video of the game. I think it was Hull City. And he just said, right, watch that, tell me what's wrong. And there actually wasn't a lot wrong. He said, we're not far off it, we've done great, let's not start panicking. And then after that, I think we went and beat someone 4-0.
Yeah, Bradford, wasn't it?
Bradford 4-0. So we were back on the horse again, so it was good.
Yeah, that must be great. To have that from your manager as well must be really assuring as well, especially as a young player and as a team that have leaders all over the pitch as well, because you could probably take that from the manager and be like, yeah, definitely. There was no panic setting in. Maybe people around the league were talking about Luton. Or the outside noise.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, we just got back on with our jobs, and I think thankfully, we only went on to lose another 3 games in the league that season, which was unbelievable, really.
Touched on the characters earlier. Let's roll through a few of them. Starting at the back, the back 4 can pretty much pick itself, or the back 5, including Marlon as well. So I think keeping plenty of clean sheets that season, you were a solid unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Marlon was later on in his career, but he was so agile. I think back some of the saves he used to pull out of the sky, and He was so good with his feet, and
he just seemed quite calm as well.
He was
actually.
calm.
Quite calm,
he was very calm. He was also a madman. You know, I've met him a lot of times since, but all goalies are, aren't they?
Yeah.
He was a bit of a madman. You know, if I let a shot come in or I let a cross come in, he'd let me know about it, which was great, because I'd feel like, oh, I'm letting him down, so I can't let Marlon down. So I'd try and get tight to the winger or whatever. So he was really good for me. And then, like, right-sided centre-back was Chris Coyne. Learnt a hell of a lot off him. He was great for me. Curtis Davis had just come into the team that season, ended up playing like 44 games. He hadn't really done much the season before, but he come in and it was like this new young superstar from nowhere. Yeah. And what a season he had. And then obviously he left us after that, you know, because he'd done so well. And you got Sol, obviously, unbelievable 1v1 defender. Yeah. No nonsense. We'll put someone into Rosette if he has to. You know.
Midfield as well, obviously Nico. You know, in the middle of the pitch, bossing it, captain, the heartbeat of the team.
Absolutely. You know, what you saw is what you got with Nico. I remember him making tackles here, flying over the side of the boards and getting back up. He was a great leader to have. He would stick up for you as well. And then you got Steve Robinson beside him, who went about his job so well.
I think quite an underrated player, actually.
Yeah, I think so. But he was so diligent. I remember he was always in the gym. He was doing his extras, and you know, it doesn't surprise me that he's gone on and he's having such a great managerial career. And then on the wings, obviously, you got Paul Underwood, who's very solid but could put balls in the box, and Burko had that bit of magic down the right hand side.
Some overhead kicks here and there.
Some great goals. He was on fire that season. He was great to play with going forward. But coming back, he wasn't so great. You know what I mean? Like we used to hammer him. Yeah, come on, Berkey, get back. He's like, no, just give me the ball. You know. Yeah. But he was fantastic. The goals he scored, the assists he made, the one at Hera against Hull.
Did you get the assist for that?
No, Steve Robinson did.
Okay.
Put a great ball in, and Berkey headed it straight in the net. And honestly, I felt like the stand just came off the stadium because there was that much noise. It was a really important goal for us.
Do you think that game in particular? I mean, we lost at Hull early in the season, as you said. I think we got beat 3-0 up there. Yeah. But then to get them down here, they were second in the table then, and to win in the and win and just in the way we did right at the end. Yeah. Did you feel that was the time?
It. Yeah, that was the time. That was a big statement for us, and that was a massive 3 points, and that just created a bit more of a gap between us and them. And I think Tranmere were in and around it at the time as well. So. Yeah, wow, what a feeling. It only seems like it was a few years ago it happened.
20 years later.
Yeah.
Well, what was it like here? I mean, I guess with any championship winning team, you know, especially towards the end of the season, you're kind of in that, you're at that stage where you know what you have to do and you're grinding results out.
You're in that flow. You play a game, you have a night out to celebrate because honestly, you can see like you're getting towards like the end of the season and you're getting towards winning the league. And everyone's in a good flow, and we had such a great togetherness as a team. We'd win together, we'd lose together, but we'd celebrate together, and that included Brian Steen, you know, as well, and Mike Newell, and it was a great environment and a great camaraderie we had about the place. You know, it was a really tight knit squad.
Then on St George's Day 2005, we go up to Wrexham, 1-0 down at half time, turned it around with 2 goals from 2 defenders.
Yeah.
Curtis and Coyne.
Curtis and Coyne, yeah. Headers probably or not?
I think so. Yeah, I'll have to watch them back. Yeah, but I think so.
My memory's so bad. Yeah, great. What a tough place it is to go. And I think we did beat them quite convincingly at home earlier in the season.
That's right. Yeah.
5-1 or so. But I mean, it's tough. You know, it's never easy towards the end of the season. You're just trying to grind them results out. And maybe it's not as free flowing as it was at the start of the season, but. You know, thankfully we got your job done there and gave the fans something extra to celebrate.
What was it like coming back here and lifting the title?
It was a dream come true, honestly. You know, it felt, you know, to go from being in school a few years before that to then playing out Kenilworth Road, lifting a trophy.
Family and friends
amazing.
In the stand.
Family, friends, all local, at the game, sat up there somewhere, crammed in next to each other. Yeah, just a dream come true.
And what yeah, was it a kind of pinch yourself kind of moment? And what did you think that where your career would go next, or were you too young to kind of?
I was just excited to then test myself in the Championship the next year. Really excited to do that. Playing in even bigger stadiums against teams that are 3 teams that are coming down from the Premier League.
Yeah.
We had them quite soon after, didn't we? Had like the likes of Palace, Leeds, maybe Southampton.
Yeah.
Right, quick fire games. You're playing against like Walcott as a youngster. Gareth Bale was there.
Yeah, Harry Redknapp was. Yeah, I remember this guy.
Yeah.
Dean Morgan curled this one here.
He
down
did.
here.
He did. Yeah. I mean, that's as a young player, you want to keep testing yourself, and for me, that was a great test for me, and really enjoyed that next season.
And what were you thinking? What were you thinking? I mean, your career at that point, then a regular in the Championship. Were you aware of interest around you?
Not really. Not really. I didn't really seek that out or anything. I was just really
head down and just doing
concentrated on like, this is my job. I'm the fullback today. I want to try and stop this winger putting balls in the box. I want to defend. I want to attack. That's. I was just always concentrated on what my job was at that specific time, and I didn't really look too far into the future. Obviously, I did have ambitions to play in the Premier League one day, but thankfully that did come true. But at that moment in time, it was just to do as well as I can for Luton and stay in the side, because we had a big squad and we had new signings coming in all the time.
So what was it like after that season, which we flirted with the playoffs?
Yeah,
a lot of big names. I think Carlos, as you mentioned earlier, Carlos Edwards was here. I think we beat Norwich down here. He scored from the halfway line. I seem to remember. But see, the end of that season was probably the end of the good times for a while here.
I feel like we were sort of punching above our weight, and we lost quite a lot of players, didn't we? Because of how well we had done, and rightly so. Clubs are going to come and start looking, and unfortunately we lost some players. And then,
but not just players, but we touched on it earlier. The characters, the big
absolutely,
big personalities,
and we just it was always going to be a struggle. Then after that, we tried our best, and we had a few injuries throughout that season as well, and then we just didn't have enough to stay up. But that's sometimes the unfortunate way football goes sometimes, and teams will always sort of come to an end at some stage, and unfortunately for us, that was probably the end of that sort of era at Luton.
And from your perspective as well, of having had a trajectory of getting into the team, winning the title, then doing well in the Championship, to then being part of a team that were on the downward spiral, if you like. What was that like to deal with?
It was gutting. I remember I think we got officially relegated at Derby away. Might have been on TV as well. I think we drew. We might have drawn.
Under Kevin Blackwell.
So that was a horrible feeling, something I'd never felt. And I just felt like sad, and like we'd let the fans down, we'd let ourselves down. But it was a bit of an uphill challenge that season. Our team wasn't as good as the season before, and when you do go up, you've got that fresh energy. But that second season, it's like, right, what have you got now? And you lose a lot of the players. It's like, well, we're really going to have to do something here. But unfortunately, we just didn't have enough.
And then you left.
Yes.
But Wolves, obviously a great club on the up at that time, and you met Rob Edwards there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I went and joined Wolves. Happened quite quickly towards the end of pre-season, maybe the start of the season. And like I say, met Rob there, and that was 17 years ago, 2007. So
were you committed to sticking around until Wolves came in, or were you just?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were training the day before, and I was in the team. I was going to be playing, so I had my head fully focused on that and being fit. Obviously, I had an agent at the time, and he said there's a few teams interested, but I didn't really want to get sidetracked by that. If it happens, it happens. I was never chasing my agent or what's going on. What will be, will be. And then, Kevin Blackwell said, look, you're not going to play tomorrow. They accepted a bid. And that's the way it was. And it was a bit surreal for me. I'll be honest. I was like, right, where's Wolverhampton? There was no Google Maps at the time. I honestly, I was like, I knew it's up somewhere, but I was, that's terrible for me, isn't it? And then obviously Wolves then became a big part of my life. So much so that I moved up to the Midlands and sort of still live up that way now.
And a great time there. You celebrated the promotion there and played in the Premier League and got your caps for Ireland as well.
Yeah,
so
in a funny way, like it's similar to what happened here, just at the next level. You know, Championship won the league, Premier League 2-3 years, had a good time, and then back down again. But that is football. You know, that is. I always say I think there's more downs than ups in football. So when you do get the ups, you've got to really celebrate them and savour them. No matter how big or small it might be, you just really got to savour it, because you do get tested as a footballer, like in life for anyone really, you know, in jobs, with family, everyone's got their own issues, but it was a great time for me, and really enjoyable. But I do feel like Luton was the best place I could have been right to start my career, because even back here we used to call it the Volleys gym at the back of the stadium. Little AstroTurf, probably about 8 yards by 12, 14 yards. Football, tennis. Spent many mornings and afternoon and evenings in there with the youth team, and that's where we learnt, all our technique and things like that. And that's where you try and learn how to win as well. So great memories.
You wouldn't take a session in there now, would you?
I'd love to, but I don't know what. I think they've turned it into a bar or something. Yeah, I think they've turned it into a bar. Maybe we'll make another one somewhere.
But obviously, as you got older, your career on the pitch came to an end, and then you were kind of focusing on the next step and into coaching and.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of got into coaching while I was still playing. Really done my badges, and then I remember going back into Wolves to have a look, watch some sessions, and at the time Rob was the under-18s coach, and he's always really great, helpful with his time. You know, like he gives other coaches time, and young players, especially at finishing their career. I've seen him do it numerous occasions where you can't do enough, you know. So it was the same for me, and I was watching, I was trying to learn, and got a bit of a part-time role within the academy at a younger age group. And then obviously always kept in touch with Rob, and I think he's what he's done in his short spell of his time as a manager is absolutely fantastic.
And it's great, obviously, to now have you back, obviously coming back and obviously knowing Rob, knowing the club. Yeah. What's it like for you to be back here involved after all these?
I still have to pinch myself sometimes, honestly. It's great to still see all the people that are still here, you know, when I left. You know, you've got Dickie the groundsman, who's been in over 30 years. Gary Sweet had come in as I was leaving. And it's just, and the fans, you know, from when I was a player going to the end of season awards, and then as a member of staff now last year, I see the same faces. Yeah, and you think, well, they are supporters, so they're always that's the way it should be. So it's a real honour to be back here working.
Okay, well, Kevin, great to chat with you, mate. Great to reminisce about those glory days here 20 years ago. I won't remind you again of how long ago that was, but top man.
Cheers. Thank you, mate. Top man. Thank you, mate.